Everyone has a memory like this, sitting in a classroom, staring at a piece of paper. There's a grade on top, red ink, circled. Maybe it's an A, maybe a C, and somehow that one letter feels like it means everything. In school, we're taught to believe grades define who we are. They separate the smart from the average, the hardworking from the lazy, the successful from the failures. But here's the truth. Grades are not the truth. They're numbers, labels, a snapshot of how well you performed in one system, a system that rewards speed, obedience, and short-term memory. And today, we're going to break down exactly why grades don't define your future and what actually does. Let's start with this. What does a grade really measure? When you get an A, what does that say about you? That you're intelligent? That you're talented? That you'll be successful? Not necessarily. More often than not, it just means you were good at following directions. You understood what was expected. You knew what to memorize. You were able to take a test in a specific format under pressure and perform. That's not intelligence, that's system fluency. Studies have shown that the strongest predictor of high GPA isn't creativity or original thinking, it's compliance. Those who sit still, stay quiet, and do what's asked, they win in school. But what happens when the test ends? When the system disappears? That's when real life begins. And that's when many top students find themselves lost. Because life doesn't give you rubrics, it gives you problems. And most of them don't have a multiple choice answer. Let's talk about the psychological cost of grade obsession. From an early age, students are trained to believe you are what you score. That belief creates a dangerous loop. You begin to fear failure, because failure isn't feedback anymore, it's identity. You avoid risks, you avoid creativity, you do what's safe. You stop learning for understanding and start learning for points. Memorizing facts to pass, not to think. And worst of all, you connect your self-worth to your academic performance. If I succeed, I matter. If I fail, I'm worthless. This belief is toxic, and it's everywhere. In East Asia, students study for up to 16 hours a day preparing for one test. In the US, students at elite universities report record-breaking levels of anxiety and burnout. In Europe, grade inflation has made it harder than ever to distinguish true skill from paper achievement. We've created a system that values numbers over nuance, and students are the ones paying the price. Now, here's the irony. The world beyond school, it doesn't care nearly as much about your grades as you think. According to a study by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, most employers rate soft skills like communication, teamwork, and adaptability far above GPA. Companies like Google, Tesla, and IBM have all stopped requiring college degrees for many roles. Why? Because real-world performance doesn't show up on a transcript. A perfect GPA can't tell you if someone is resilient, or curious, or emotionally intelligent. It just tells you they were good at school. Think about the stories we know by heart. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. Oprah was told she wasn't good enough for television. Einstein was considered a poor student in school. These aren't exceptions, they're reminders. The people who go on to change the world often don't fit into the traditional academic mold. So what does define your future? Here's what actually matters and what the research backs up. Grit. Angela Duckworth defines grit as passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's not about never failing, it's about getting back up every single time you do. Curiosity. In a world that changes fast, those who keep learning, who stay hungry, will always outpace those who stop once the test ends. Growth mindset. Carol Dweck's research shows that people who believe their abilities can be developed tend to achieve far more than those who believe talent is fixed. Adaptability. The jobs of tomorrow don't exist today. Being flexible, being willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn is now a superpower. Emotional intelligence. Understanding yourself and others, navigating stress, leading with empathy. These aren't taught in most classrooms, but they shape careers and lives. And finally, purpose. The most successful people aren't chasing grades, they're chasing meaning. They know what matters to them, and they align their work, their learning, and their energy with that purpose. Now, does this mean grades are useless? Not at all. Grades can reflect effort. They can open doors. They can help with structure, but they are just one tool, not the whole toolbox. The problem begins when we treat them like the entire story, when we ignore the rest of who a person is. So how do we move forward? As students, Start asking deeper questions. Learn because you're curious, not just because you'll be tested. Take creative risks, fail with intention, reflect and grow. As parents, celebrate effort over outcome, praise resilience, teach your child that their worth is not conditional on a score. As teachers, build classrooms where mistakes are welcomed. Shift from grading everything to giving feedback that fuels growth. As a society, let's stop reducing human potential to a number. Let's expand our definition of intelligence, success, and value. Because the future doesn't belong to the person with the highest GPA, it belongs to the person who never stopped growing. So here's what I'll leave you with. If you've ever felt like a failure because of a grade, you're not alone, and you are not broken. The system is narrow, but you are not. Your future isn't written in ink. It's shaped by the choices you make, by how you respond to setbacks, by what you choose to care about deeply. Don't let a test score define your path. Let your passion, your resilience, your kindness, and your courage do that instead. And the next time someone asks you what your GPA was, just smile and show them what really matters.